Markethive is considered a first-to-market market network, the next evolution from the well-worn industry of social networks. Already built and in beta, Markethive is in pre-launch and will become a household name by year's end. So pay attention as we delve into the minds of the founders, Thomas Prendergast and Douglas Yates. Doug, can you give us a bit about your background, please?
Yes, I can. My name is Doug Yates, and my background is well rooted in Silicon Valley in Northern California. I've been working in the IT arena since of the age 15, basically starting software companies, artificial intelligence software companies since the age of 15. I'm in my 50s now, and for the last 20 plus years, been running a very successful consulting company in Silicon Valley uh, in the technology field.
Thank you, Doug. And can you elaborate on what is your role in Markethive?
I'm actually the chief technology officer here at Markethive, and I'm in charge of making sure that the on the technology side, everything's implemented at the highest quality, using the highest level talent that is available to us, and successfully rolled out worldwide. And we've partnered with a very, very successful firm here in Silicon Valley to help us with our IT services, and I'm very, very excited about that.
Can you tell me why did Markethive enter the social media platform race?
Yes, I could share that with you. You know, Thomas Prendergast, the CEO, he had this vision. He knew what was coming down the pipelines. He knew that the Facebooks and the LinkedIn's and all these social media platforms out there were going to get stale and really not provide to the marketplace what it really needs. And that's a place where you could control your voice, where you could control your own data, where you can actually get remunerated for your data and your opinions. And he started working on this about 4 years ago. So it's been in beta for 4 years, and it's ready to come out and really take over the industry and replace what Facebook and LinkedIn are providing. And they're not even providing 100% of what Markethive is.
Oh, great. Tom,
Yeah.
what is your background?
Well, I was born with visions. I'm an artist. I've been an artist since I was a toddler. I've never followed the norm. I've never had a job. I've always been very entrepreneurial, figuring out how to make money at the tender age of 14 years old. So as I entered into the professional realm, I started an ad agency back in the 80s in the Silicon Valley area, which was very fortuitous because I kind of like cut my teeth with Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and Michael Katz and all those guys that were the first wave of technology. So I rode that wave. I was studying at Stanford. I was involved with them in the beginnings of the internet, so I knew about that. I knew about 3D virtual reality from Amdahl because they were a client of mine. So I had all these clients of all this high tech stuff back in the 80s. So it infected me, and I got my first Apple computers in 1984. And I started building networks, and by the end of the 80s, I had moved out of the Bay Area. I moved to a remote area in Washington and started a company there, and I had to do it remotely, so I had gotten onto the internet because I had to. My experience in the Bay Area in the 80s, to segue back to that, was advertising. I was an ad agency, so as an ad agency, we were business to business primarily, direct marketing, trade shows, presentations, and all those things. We were considered one of the top 10 agencies, competing with companies like Chiat Day. So as I had to move on into the internet, I had the fortune or misfortune to get involved with a MLM company that was offering internet service provider. It was the ISP that got my attention, and so engaging in that and using what I knew from the 80s, I launched an ad campaign, and I put 90,000 people into that business in a matter of a couple of months. That was bad news for that company. They couldn't handle the growth. They went out of business. That's another story. The reason why I'm saying this is because that led me to building a social network in order to protect your interest in what you build on the internet. And that's because in doing somebody else's vertical system, if they go out of business, all that work that you did goes down the tubes with them. And I knew that creating all those personal relationships with thousands of people it was important to create something that would last the test of time. So the beginnings of what is known today as Markethive began. So I had that vision all the way back in, I think we started it in 1994. We created the first self-replicating website, first autoresponders. We hated the fact that you bought leads. The whole idea of buying somebody's information, their phone number, their email address, all that stuff just did was it spurred telemarketing calls and spam. And I had an absolute revulsion to it. So I decided to do something about it, and I went on to build systems that would attract people by giving them offers, by giving them content, by having them find us in the search engines and coming to us, later to be known as inbound marketing funnels. I started building these back in 1996. That turned into a company called Veritech, which ran for 20 years. So we really refined the whole process, and all of the technology was ours. I was the head guy writing all this technology, and I had engineers working for me. And as we went forward, things like Google came along, and Facebook, and MySpace, and LinkedIn, and all that, everything started changing into becoming more of a social network, which I really embraced. So Veritech became as much of a social network. We had 150 million subscribers at one time, but we had a legacy issue with our technology coming from back in the mid 90s. We had text database files. Things were running off of CGI and Perl script. And on top of that, we had PHP and Ajax and SQL databases and everything. So we were a mishmash. And I decided to just shut it down. And I had a vision, and I created the blueprint and the interfaces for a company that later became known as Markethive. And we raised almost $500,000 in crowdfunding to build that. And we did, and we launched it on 2015, June 16th of 2015, and we launched it as a eco center for the entrepreneur. Now, the reason for that tagging of it is for like the last 20 years, I've known that what was coming was eventually that the world would be taken over by artists and musicians and entrepreneurs and innovators. The creative culture was going to get to a point where they got sick and tired of being exploited by those who do not have vision. So that's what that is the heart of what Markethive is to lift up those who aspire for a better life, who have an entrepreneurial spirit, who have some innovation and some desire to improve their life, and to give them all the tools that they need in one place, all integrated into a social network. So instead of like the other social networks, which are all competition based, everybody's competing with everybody else for more likes and getting higher priorities, we created a system in the opposite of that, of collaboration. Instead of outbound marketing, we're inbound marketing. Instead of you being exploited for all the work that you're doing in Markethive, you're being paid for it. So Markethive really is the antithesis of the typical social network, and in fact, we have been tagged as being the first market network.
I know that privacy is a very big issue today with the Delete Facebook campaign, the scandal, and the attack on the First Amendment. But what would you say is Markethive's stand on this?
Well, that's interesting, because before this even became a big deal or a scandal 4 years ago when we launched Markethive, I'm going to read verbatim our privacy policy. This comes from 4 years ago. It was a major part of our launch, that we are serious about trust, respect, and integrity. So, quote, "You own your personal information and content. It is explicitly not ours. You will never receive a targeted advertisement or third-party content based on what you do or say online. We think it is unethical. You see every post and timeline order from your friends, family, and groups. We do not manipulate, filter, or change the order of your content or what you see. Permissions and privacy are your rights. You control them. You control who can access your content. You control what, if anything, others can see in member searches. We're a private network. That means we do not track or profile you. Your privacy means that we do not share your personal information with anyone. Your likes and loves are for you and your friends. We do not monitor or mine your data. Your face is your business. We do not use facial recognition technology. You have the right to delete your account and take your content with you at any time. And we do not store or archive our logs." I find it interesting that I had the vision to write this policy because I personally found it distasteful that social networks tracked you like they did and kept all this data on you, this big data, which I felt was a attack on my rights, on my freedoms, and it has become that. This whole process of what's happening in today's typical social networks is an attack on our First Amendment. But when it comes to Markethive, we are a neutral platform, and we are run by meritocratic control. And what that means is, if you come into Markethive and you make some friends and you start posting things they don't like, they are just not going to be your friends anymore. They're going to block you. So you're going to build a social network around you of like-minded people who like what you're saying. There's going to be other people who don't like what you say. There will not be any police in Markethive. So if somebody wants to complain about something you said, then all they have is the ability to give you a thumbs down and block you. And what will happen because of that meritocracy is that if you got a lot of thumbs down and very few thumbs up, you're going to find yourself not getting a lot of friends, because it will be displayed on your profile that you are, that where you're at with how you offend people. And we believe that is how it should be. That there should not be some elite control above you telling you what to think, not to think, what to do, not to do. And so that is the whole total core of Markethive.
Okay, that sounds great. Now, can you go into what is a market network? Because this is a new concept.
Well, I didn't bring up the term market network, but I discovered it a couple years ago, being identified by many of the pundits of the industry, that they call it, like, from social network to market network. Now, social network really is, again, it's a competitive environment of people competing with each other, who's got more friends than the other, who gets more likes or whatever. It's a social network where people are sharing, their dramatic feelings about things. People argue, people are putting up their pictures, and that's it. And all that information is being exploited. In a market network, you have a social network, but you also have a bunch of tools, and the tools are used for the purpose of broadcasting, getting to the top of the search engines, building lead lists, communicating with large groups of people, creating work groups, creating a collaboration, utilizing all these tools like capture pages, tools like blogs, tools like broadcasting. So all the things that you see out there are all integrated into one platform, and that's known as a software as a service, or SaaS. With a social network integrated into it, that's where you have this ability to create collaboration. And then the marketplace is the third aspect of that, where people can set up to sell or buy services. That is all integrated into the social network. So when you're looking at services that you want to buy or that you want to sell, the people that are involved with you are part of a larger social network where everybody is integrated. And so you really do know who your neighbors are, and you really do know who's selling on the platform. Whether the services they're selling is recording artists, or making images, or creating slideshows, or producing, writing content, any type of a professional service is available on that network. And all three, the commerce, buying and selling, are all integrated into the system. And the way that Markethive is being built now, that process of commerce, or what you would call liquidity, is also now being built into us because of the advent of the blockchain. We were really designed for the blockchain, and so we were actually prepared for the blockchain before the blockchain appeared.
So again, you were sort of ahead of your time. Doug, in contrast to those three pillars that Tom touched on, can you tell me about the three pillars of crypto companies or digital currency companies?
Yes, I'd love to. To be able to evaluate a cryptocurrency, whether it's viable in the marketplace or if it's real or not, there is three pillars that you can base this on. And one of them is the community. There has to be a community for this cryptocurrency, a community that can use this cryptocurrency inside of their ecosystems. And there has to be a technology around this cryptocurrency. And there also has to be liquidity. And one of these pillars can't be bigger than the other pillar. They all kind of have to be balanced. And that really will help a currency grow and be viable to be able to have a community that the currency is used within and without, too, outside the community, and also a technology that wraps this cryptocurrency around and provides an easy transfer and easy use of this currency, and then the liquidity part to where you can turn this currency into goods and services or fiat currency.
Okay, great. And also an issue is, what do you feel is the biggest problem with current networks?
Well, I think with the current social networks out there is these companies are making billions on the back of your life, your data, your content that you created that's about you. You know, one of my good friends is a vice president of a very large IT service firm. It's actually Menlo Technologies, the one we used here at Markethive. And he volunteered this to me, the great answer to this question. I mean, one of his problems with Facebook is they're making billions off all the content of our lives to everybody, all the members and all the people that participate on that platform, and they don't give back. You know, at least YouTube, you reach a certain level and you can participate in the ad sharing, but that's about it. What is great about Markethive and its ecosystem is you as an entrepreneur or somebody who wants to further an idea or a hobby or a business or just content in itself, that you will be able to participate in the revenue that's generated from that content.
Okay, that's great. Also, I'm pretty sure our listeners would like to know a little bit more about, can you elaborate on the universal income for entrepreneurs concept?
No, yes, I can. And that's basically inside the Markethive ecosystem, you will get paid for every positive action that you take. So in building the business, you got to act, you have to do. You have to create things. You have to create content. You have to create structure. You have to create information that people are going to want to consume. And every time you do this within the Markethive system, you will get paid. You'll get paid in Markethive coin. And this coin is tradable inside the system and with Bitcoin and beyond that. So it's basically setting up a universal income for entrepreneurs. It doesn't promote laziness, because if you do nothing inside the system, you won't get paid. If you do a little, you'll get paid a little. If you do a lot, you get paid more. And it really facilitates you furthering anything. If, let's say, you don't consider yourself an entrepreneur. I think everybody is, but let's say you don't. But you're really good at responding to other people's blogs and give valuable feedback. You'll get paid to do that. Let's say you're like, man, I don't have a product or a service, but I write really good articles. Well, you could write really good articles, and when people consume those or use it or swap it from you, you can get paid for that. And so it doesn't have to be a business in a sense. It could be your hobby. It could be something you're passionate about, and giving you a certain level of income back to be able to facilitate that worldwide. And you have no boundaries, no geographic boundaries, no language boundaries. It's digital, so it's across the whole world.
So basically, people are getting paid to do what they would normally do anyway, which is pretty encouraging. So I just want to thank both of you for your time today. This is a very exciting venture, and we're very much looking forward to getting involved, but also seeing how this evolves on its own. So thank you again, and we'll see you on the next show.